Welcome back to the Elevate Your Best podcast. My name is Michael Danklefs.
And I am Bruno Martins. And today we are going to talk about having a personal dashboard.
What do we mean by a personal dashboard? In many ways, we're talking about having a place and a system, in many ways, to organize your thoughts, your projects, your programs, your to-do list, your gratitude, etc. There's lots of different ways to do this. We're going to be presenting a couple of different ideas today and focus a little bit on how both Bruno and I have built a dashboard for our life in a program that we really appreciate using, which is called Notion. They are not sponsoring this podcast as much as we may want them to. It is something that we've actually found a lot of value in for organizing the work that we do here on the podcast, as well as organizing things in our lives. So the first person I wanted to talk about was someone who I actually have a lot of respect for, especially when it comes to leadership. So his name is John C. Maxwell. He actually was a minister for a long time, and he transitioned his life into being a teacher of leaders, a leader of leaders, if you will. He's written quite a few books, but the reason why I wanted to talk about him is that his personal dashboard, the way that he captures information, the way that he explains it is, if he gets an idea, he always has a pad of paper with him, and he writes as much as he can out on a piece of paper to the full extent of what he has time for at that time and the thoughts he has at that. And then he has a folder system that he puts that in. He puts it in the middle of a folder. He actually stores it away in his filing cabinet. And each time that he actually has more thoughts on that particular subject, he adds another piece of paper to that folder and he actually files it in with everything else that goes along with that idea. That's the system that's worked for him. And for him, that has allowed him to then pull all of his thoughts together on the 5 levels of leadership, or the irrefutable laws of teamwork, or various other books that he's actually done, as well as all of the speaking engagements and the consulting that he actually does with leadership teams to bring them to the next level of leadership, the next level of teamwork, the next level of organizing inside of a business. So I very much wanted to pay honor to him as some of the work that he's already done. We do a little bit different system here. There's lots of different systems for your personal dashboard. If it's getting things done, or if it's the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, I think also has a system around how to focus on your day. There's lots of ways that you can do this. You can find systems that follow that. But in just about all of those situations, it's something we've talked about on this podcast before, is we don't rely on our memory. We think outside. We think on paper. It starts by writing it down.
And something that I'm thinking a lot, that I'm reflecting a lot lately, Michael, and we've spoken about this on the podcast here, is how our lives is made of cycles, and we are living experiences that repeat themselves. Some of them repeat every day, several times. Some of them repeat every day only once, and some of them take months, weeks, years, or decades to repeat themselves. And the question that comes to my mind when I reflect about this is, if our lives is made of experiences that repeat, and some of those repeat every day or several times a day, how come we do not prepare to face them in a better position, in a better way? How come we neglect to take a look from outside, from a different perspective, and really prepare ourselves to do our best in the next time that this cycle will happen? I didn't express myself very well, so let me go back to it. So this preparation can come exactly as you say, creating a system that will help us to deal with those experiences. It might be a simple system like John Maxwell mentioned. Just have a notebook, a place where you can take out something and write it down. Trust on something that is permanent and not only your memory. But today, as Michael said, we have different tools. We have access to better methodologies, and we have access to Notion. That is an incredible tool. It's not a no technology. It's something new. And it works with leveraging databases and making it accessible for people that do not know how to program, like myself, and make this so that we can, how can I say it, make it so that we can easily create systems that will help us to work with the information that we have to deal on a daily basis.
So getting back to this kind of core question of, why do we need a personal dashboard? I mentioned someone who does this and the success that they've actually gotten by using a system like this, a filing system, a way to capture their thoughts and then organize them. But it's also a good place to record and review the information so that you can, like, if you're not recording it, how do you then find the patterns? How do you then see when things go really great or when things go really bad? And then you can, it's like hitting rewind on the tape on a movie to go back and say, what did that person say? If you're collecting this in a way that you can catch the highlights, you can then check for patterns, because human beings are pattern recognition systems. That's what we're really good at, is seeing patterns in things. And some are better at different kinds of patterns. Some people, it's actually in language. Sometimes it's in math. Sometimes it's in art. Sometimes it's in intercommunication. But each of us has the capability to see a pattern and then potentially deduce what causes the pattern and maybe change it, or to potentially see a pattern in someone else that we appreciate the results that they're getting and replicate that into our own lives. And to me, that personal dashboard is a place to record the progress, record the steps that I want to take, as well as then also lay out the steps of where I plan on going. It really is, for me, over the last several years, have been key for this idea of intentional living, is how can we show and our progress on what we've committed to unless we track it.
And one thing, Michael, that I believe it to be interesting talking about the system thing is that if we are living on patterns, like understanding the patterns that we live, understanding our habits, the work starts with us mapping the patterns, the cycles that we are already in. So it's before we make some changes, it's important for us to be honest with ourselves and adopt that different perspective, watch ourselves, map the patterns, the cycles that we are living in. And another thing that I believe to be important is accepting the patterns that we wish to manifest. Sometimes in the beginning, it's hard. You will do some work, you will do some change, and then because it's something new, we drag ourselves and we don't want to exactly do it. But it's not so much of an effort when we just accept it. It's, oh, we don't want to do it. And we keep with that conversation inside our heads, like, and distracting and things like that. But when we accept, you know what, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this routine. I'm going to go through it. I'm going to give push play on the meditation. I'm needing to meditate, right, Michael? I'm going to push play on the meditation. And then I have this work to do. Oh, I'm just going to sit down here. I'm going to open this document and I'm going to do it. Accepting this until it becomes like something more natural. It's very important as well. Accepting the new patterns that we wish to cultivate, understanding the old ones, accepting that we are involved into them, not be unconscious, because if we don't think about it, we just go through with it. And now understanding what are the new patterns that we wish to develop. Like, I wish to create a system that will support me to have success, and actually accepting this mission and committing to it. Like, I'm going to go through it. I'm going to create this new system and I'm going to commit to it.
And a lot of this really starts with a small step. Because the system doesn't, whenever I think of system, I think of like organ systems where it's a lot of complex interactions with things and it's going to take a lot of work to set up. Where this really starts, at least where it did for me, was with something simple. Start with something known and then expand on it. Like Bruno was talking about, is find what your current patterns are, find what your current beliefs are, find what your current vision is. And then you can actually expand from there. This is not necessarily revolutionary as a process. It might be if you've never tangled with this in the past, but it doesn't need to be this mountain you need to climb. It's by starting with one piece, starting with the one first step. Just, I know we've talked about habits in the past as well. It's not a matter of adding 50 habits It's because that's going to make you the best version of you. It's a matter of starting with adding one habit that's going to help expand to the next level. And once you have that habit down and it is part of your identity and who you are, then you add another one. I think it's really important to embrace that idea too. So with that idea of this one next step, this one next habit, we've got a couple of things we want to share with you today. So one is tools and templates. We've already mentioned a couple of them. We'll go into a little bit deeper on those. The next is a gift that we have for you. We want to actually show you and give you an experience of what this looks like. And last is our personal experience working with these tools. Because for me, it's not about of reading something in a book and saying, go do this. For me, it's about not just focus, not just knowledge, but it's also the wisdom that's gained by taking that knowledge and applying it. If those are the kind of conversations that you really want to be engaged with, that's what we talk about here on the Elevate Your Best podcast. Please hit that subscribe button down underneath here. If this particular video so far has been fantastic, or at any point in this, you've actually got one insight that's going to help you change your life, push that like button. It tells us that we're on the right track. If you have questions or even other suggestions, I'm always open to considering new systems and tools that may work better. Put those in the comments, because we like to interact. We like to engage with people. We like to learn. We like to expand, because we really do believe in this whole growth mindset thing. It's not something we just pay lip service to. It's something we really do believe.
Great, Michael. And I really like what you mentioned a while back about starting with one habit. I really believe on that. And that's one of the reasons why I use Notion. And this falls into the first topic that we are going to cover today, which is using tools and templates. Notion is a great tool that we can use, and it can come with templates. I don't know if we are going to show to you. We have an episode on journaling that I'm going to link, that we are going to link here in the description below, so you can take a look. There we share a view on our personal dashboards and templates. And what Notion makes possible, what this tool makes possible, is for us to build a virtual environment where when we go there, we can access a different environment where all the triggers are oriented to our productivity. We also have an episode on habits, and there we talk about the loop habit. And the loop habit is created by a cue that triggers our routine that we have learned in the past, which leads us into a reward. Our brain learned that routine because it learned that it will lead us into a reward. There's this cue. Oh, when we see this cue, if we do this routine, we'll get to a reward. So it learns and does it automatically. And this whole thing about habits and cues is related to our environment. So if our environment only has cues and is facilitating routines that takes us into like unproductive behavior, then we have a challenge there. But when we access an environment that has cues that leads us into productive routines, then we have a nice thing going on. And a virtual environment, like a page in Notion, is no different for our minds than a physical environment. Because people do visualization exercise, there are people that build those memory palaces and things like that. And we can see Notion, the virtual environments like that. The metaverse is coming, and this will be like much more evident to people. And that's where we can create our productive place. And our advice for you is to start with one habit in this place. Get there, start with one habit, and then we will learn to expand it to more habits that will be easier for us to.
And another reason, yes, starting with that one habit. And Bruno and I have also talked about in the past about the idea of reducing friction. So I know that Bruno certainly talked about that considerably. It's a matter of setting up your environment to trigger the responses that you want. So one way that we can reduce friction is by building ways in templates So basically setting yourself up with the same questions on a regular basis so that you're asking some of those deeper, harder questions, but in a way that actually challenges you to think about what's next. It's not just, hey, how was your day? So I know when we talked about journaling, we shared our own different templates. I want to share my screen here real quick of one simple place to start. So for me, this is a basic daily journal entry. There are lots of possible templates you can find out there to do this, but this is one place to start, is asking yourself questions. What did you do really well today? What could you have improved? What was your biggest lesson? What did you do that was uncomfortable? You can change these questions and build these into the templates when you're actually building stuff out in Notion into a journal that has basic questions that you're looking to answer for yourself. And potentially this is also your task list, the tasks that you want to get done, and adding those on a list so you do have that ability to check them off. I do know that there is a fair amount of pre-printed journals that do much the same thing. And you can go out and purchase those. The challenge that I've had with that concept is, then if I want to go find something, how do I find it? Do I need to then build an indexing system, a tagging system with Post-it notes and all that kind of stuff inside of the system? Do I need to build a database in my computer that's going to tell me which journal and which page that concept is on? Instead, I use Notion as that database so I can then search by keyword, by subject, by tag once I've actually built that system. But the system is the second step, is once you figure out the way that you learn, the way that you organize, the way that works best that you're going to keep coming back to do is actually the best system, regardless of what anybody else tells you. Is, are you consistently doing it? Finding the right templates, the right process, the right questions that are going to elicit the answers for the questions that you're looking to answer.
And this is very nice, Michael, what you spoke, because the person, they might use your template like you showed, they might use something similar, or they might just create a new empty page and just put down what they are feeling. The thing is, start doing something. Get Notion, it's very easy. Go there, you can log in with Google. You can either access via browser or install the application. There is for Windows and there's the application for mobile. We always link for Notion in our videos. It's our favorite tool. So every video description has a link to Notion, and you can just go there, create a database. Don't you know how to create a database? It's easy. You can find it on YouTube. How to create it, how to start using Notion, and it will help you with that. And you go there, create the habit of, oh, I'm gonna use this as a journal, and I'm gonna put every day an emotional entry. How am I feeling? Or you can do to-dos. I'm gonna put to-dos here. But the thing is, have a purpose. Don't just create entries and pages there. Have a purpose. I'm gonna use this to put my emotional feelings of the day. I'm gonna use this to put my gratitude list. I'm gonna use this to put the challenges that I faced today and reflect on those. Or I'm gonna do to-dos and learn how to do it. And in creating this environment, Notion, as Michael said, we can easily find information. Why use Notion instead of a notebook? Because a notebook, it's just the pages. If you wish to find some information, like Michael said, you need to create a system, a summary, or just never check on that information. There is a benefit from putting down on paper because we learn to think on detail, organize information, and everything like that. But it's not the same thing. When I can easily access that information and visualize it in different ways, which Notion makes possible, then I leverage a lot of that information. That's why we call information management, because now it's not just in a block of papers. It is in a way where we can get it and we can use it properly to our benefit.
And here's the thing too, is that once we get into a habit of collecting information into one place, this isn't just limited to just that one space either. Is that, like the rest of the web, it can link out to other products, other pages, other resources. So like for me, I know I used a lot of the Google services, Google Docs, Google Sheets, Google Calendar, all those pieces, Google Contacts, because I'm a Google guy. I enjoy the tools that they use because has made my life easier to this point. I don't need to forego that. I can link that into here. I can embed some of those pieces inside of my Notion space. If there's images I want, I can drop those in there as well. It's, for me, I've also built my life book in the Notion environment. It's like a digital scrapbook for me where I can drop images and I can put information and links. Whenever I take notes about a conversation that I'm in with someone, I link it to a contact record so that I know what my conversations were with that person if my memory escapes me. So that's where we can go to this in the long term. I don't want to overwhelm you with all the possibilities. This is a place to start and build the systems in the way that best serves you. And it's one of the things that I like the most, I think, about this is that, as Bruno mentioned initially, is you don't need to know how to program to take notes. There is some higher level relational components you can do if you want to get fancy with it, but you don't need to. Sometimes you can leverage a template that someone else has built, which we're going to be sharing a program near the end of this video of a program that I've built and a way to get that for free when we're done with this. That's going to help you practice some of these tools to actually get you in and getting your feet wet in getting into a daily practice of capturing your thoughts, capturing your process, because the process really is many ways. They say the trite phrase of it's not the destination, it's the journey. What you learn along the way to get to the destination, for me, has been what that intentional living is about, is what am I learning along the way so I can actually implement that later in my life, knowing where I may end up using it. So as Bruno mentioned very succinctly, it's where are you going to use this? I've started using this for my personal life for sure. And the things that I'm organizing for my business, absolutely. I'm also using it to take notes for my job as well, so I can remember the projects that I worked on. So if I need to go back and figure out how did I solve that problem last time, I can go look it up. I can go search for that particular problem in my own personal database. Because most of the times, not only are we repeating the same patterns in our own life, but I bet you that we're running into the same problems on a fairly regular basis. And sometimes we remember the solution, but if that only happens once a year, do you remember the process to get there? And that's why having a place where you are organizing this information so you can retrieve it easier at a later time is so important.
And before we present these templates that we are going to share with you, because we have some templates that we are going to share, and even a program, Michael. And before we share that, just a reminder, because we touched on it, but very superficially, you don't need to start very fancy, like Michael say. And this program will take you step by step through a small incremental change. That's the secret. Start with somewhere. Go there and learn how to use it. We're gonna help you with that in this video. And you start using it just to make a few notes, get familiar with the thing, and then you increment a little bit, and you increment a little bit. And after a while, you will notice that, oh, I can do this as well. And you increment a little bit. And the key is that after 3 months, you'll be doing things that when you started, if we told you that you were going to be doing that, you would feel overwhelmed. You say, no, it's too much information. But after a while, if you just started and work in incremental changes, small incremental improvements, which is possible and we are going to teach you how to do, you will see that in a short period of time, you'll be doing things that are extremely productive, seem complicated for people that are not familiar, and will be just like natural intuition to you, something that you are familiar with.
Absolutely. And we personally like using Notion. In fact, Bruno was the person who introduced me to Notion a little over a year ago. So a lot of the things that we're going to be showing today are things that I've built in that time. So a little over a year. So if you can imagine what you were doing a year ago in comparison to what you're doing now, how well have you learned that task, that language, that skill in a year? So we are going to start simple. We're going to start at the beginning. And when you sign up for Notion, and once again, This is not, we're not being sponsored by Notion for this. So we don't get anything if you sign up for Notion, use this. When you actually sign up and use this tool, the first user, if you have no guests that you're having share this space with you, is free to use. There is no cost for you to start using this to see if it will work for you and to build the systems in your life. And that's certainly where I started, is let's play in this and bring some curiosity to this of, this is a playground for you to actually mess with. And if when you're first starting, come with that mindset of you playing with Legos as a kid, or blocks, or however you feel about putting strange things together. Maybe it's actually getting out paper and cutting it and actually making, snowflakes. That's essentially the mindset I want you to bring to this, is start this as play. Because to me, in fact, for the longest time, that was the name of my workspace in here, was my playground, because it's a place that I wanted to get used to it and be okay if I mess something up. And now it's come to a point where I use this enough every day that it would be weird in my day not to use it. Just like it would be weird not to drink water for the day, or not to make my bed first thing in the morning, or any of those habits that have actually become now part of what I do, part of the extension of the tools that I'm using. Because to me, I'm very much about finding the right tools for the job and then use it for that job to the best of your ability. So if the tool you find is Evernote that does this for you, or Coda, or Obsidian, one of those, use them. We're just showing you what's possible in the tool that we know the best. So I wanted to talk to you about a program that I've been working on for probably far too long at this point. But I wanted to share that with you because to me, it is part of my process. We've talked about on our podcast about the 4 pillars of the coaching practice: preparation, commitment, accountability, and celebration. This program is really about the preparation piece. It's about preparing you for your day, about preparing you for future personal development work. It's about starting to ask some of those questions that you may not have been asking yourself up to this point. So I've been calling it preparing for the climb, because for me, Elevate Your Best is about climbing a mountain. And it may be a 100-foot mountain, it may be a 10,000-foot mountain. You determine what that mountain is. But this is the preparation phase. This is where we're collecting information about where we're at. What tools do we need? What resources do we need? What skills do we need? So that's really what we're going to be talking about here. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen again so that you can really see where this is going to start. We're going to have a landing page for you to go to on the website to sign up for this, just so you can learn more about it. But Notion, in essence, starts with a page, just like most of the rest of the web. And this is the template that you're going to be using. There's a video that welcome you to this, as well as a video for each one of the weeks. And it's going to go over a particular idea for each week. You watch the video, and then there are some thoughts and an exercise to do each day. In this process, you're going to be creating a daily ritual of reviewing your day. I'm only expecting everyone to use about 3 to 5 minutes at the most for this. This is not something where you are going to spend hours and hours poring over. It's a matter of looking at very basic things to start, because this isn't graded by anyone. This is about you engaging in reviewing what your day is about. This is just where we start, and we grow from there. We take small incremental steps, because to me, the preparation is key for us to be able to build out to the next step. It's important to actually know where you're starting from and then celebrate along the way, which there's some of that built into this process as well, because all 4 of those pillars are important to me. Preparation at the beginning and celebration at the end. And sometimes you're celebrating in the preparation, and sometimes you're being accountable in the middle of your commitment. It is a flow for this. But this to me is a gift that I want to give to you. And there's going to be a coupon code for this so that you can get this for absolutely free. What I do ask of you is, if you run into any problems, let us know. There's an email address in there. If you have any insights that you gain from this, where you've grown or you've learned something new about yourself, share that with us. If there's something that you absolutely hate or are disgusted by, share it with us. That feedback is really important for us to know where this can give the best impact for the people who engage in it.
So we are going to put a link on the description, and there will be a coupon code. Where will be the coupon code, Michael? In the description as well. And this is a product that we are developing at the Elevate Your Best. And is this coupon going to be limited, or everybody that has access to this video will have this program for free, Michael?
So this is going to be limited till the end of April 2022. So if you are actually seeing this after that time, reach out. Let us know that you watch this video, and we could potentially make that offer again.
Yes. And why to go through the preparing for the client? Because tangible actions, we have this saying here at the Elevate Your Best podcast, at the Elevate Your Best business, tangible actions equals to tangible results. So when we just think about our day, it's not tangible. We might have some benefit, we might have some clarity about it, but when we go there and we make an entry, we make a review, it's more tangible. The more tangible, the better results we have. It's something that we can go back to. It's something that expressed to our brain of progress, of growth. We can see that we are developing. We can see that we are growing with something. I went through the first week of the program already, and I realized something for myself that was very surprising, Michael. I am not familiar with celebration. And after this first week, I just finished the first week. After this first week, I recognize, for example, situations where in my college graduation, I didn't graduate with my class, Michael. I chose to just go there, sign the papers and get it and go away. Why? I'm just not familiar with celebration. There was a ceremony, people went there, they brought their families and everything, and I didn't brought my family, and I didn't share this moment with them. And in this first week, we think about celebration, we take a look at our thoughts, and it seemed at the beginning a very simple process, but after going through it, this simple process, it actually into learning some interesting things about myself. So I recommend to you, if you are watching this video and you get access to this coupon code, it's like Michael said, it's up until April, and I really wish you can take advantage of it because it's very cool.
So this has actually been a work in progress for me for a while. A lot of it is things that I've practiced over the last 2 or 3 years and then applied in this. So it's streamlined this process and built some of the framework, the system in, and to use that as a building block for you to build other things around. It's a place to start. It isn't the end, it's the beginning for you to actually be able to live a more intentional life. That's what I'd like you, once again, come from this from a place of play, and that this is the beginning. And I'm hoping that this actually challenges you in the way that you're actually looking to be a better version of you, to discover the best version of you inside of you. That's really what my goal is. And to do that growth of discovering the best version of you intentionally, not because we happen to wander into ourselves in the dark, because that can be painful.
And this discovery, Michael, is a discovery of disciplines, because we usually, our culture, it doesn't teach us how to achieve success in many areas of our lives. And we end up having to develop disciplines, and disciplines are what we have to do, when we have to do, whether we want it or not. So this is what is a discipline is. It's something that we need to do it, and there's a time for doing it, and we gotta be there and doing it whether we want it or not. And this process is a ritual. I like this word ritual, because a ritual, it's something that we engage with, and we decide to go into the church every Sunday, or getting out with our significant other once a week. This is a ritual, and we do it, and we turn this discipline that is something important in our lives into a habit. The ritual helps us with that. So as we mentioned before, using template, creating a virtual environment that is productive. This program helps with that. It will present to you to an environment with instructions, and it will help you to create this environment. Using templates, tools and templates to help us. Notion is a tool. We have templates ready for you. It's like the user interface, Michael. When we spoke about the user interface, life's user interface, there is an episode where we speak about that. It is, we don't need to understand why it works. We don't need to understand the processes and actually understand the methodologies and all the things behind it. If we have an interface that is ready and we just need to use the interface. So those templates are an interface that we prepared, and Michael studied a lot to understand why this process is good for us. And when I first saw it, I was like, oh, this is so simple. And I didn't understood. So I would never do this process on my own. And when you use the process, you use the interface, you then can see a result. And you might be questioning yourself, why this result came from this? You don't need to know. Use the interface. That's the point. Use the template and create this environment. These templates will lead you into creating this environment where productive things, we will engage in productive activities.
I would keep a mindful eye on what's happening at the edges. So curiosity is one of my core values. So using that perspective of being curious in how we get here, what we extract out of here. So I'm not sure if any of you have ever played video games, but I was the one who would always go out and search the lands that were way out there in the corner that I'm sure the programmer's like, we're gonna have one of those people that goes way out there in the corner and I've got to build something for them so that they don't run off the edge of the map. They don't fall off the edge of our world. That's the kind of curiosity I want you to bring to this is, so what's in that deep, dark cave over there? I wonder what makes it so deep and dark. Let me go figure that out. So come from that playfulness, that curiosity, that we were talking a little bit earlier today, even about that childlike perspective we have sometimes, that immature curiosity that is insatiable. That's sometimes I think we need to tap into that. There's times when we need to bring that humility and that maturity to what we're dealing with in our lives. And other times we really can be served by coming from that, from a child's perspective of, I wonder what this will do, and push the button, because you cannot do this wrong. You may delete stuff, and that's a lesson. You may do something that's going to trigger something else from happening, but that's a lesson. I think that's important, that we're willing to invest enough in ourselves every day, a little bit, to learn about where we have strengths, where we have weaknesses, where we have connections and relationships, where we can improve, and what we did really well, and celebrate those wins with ourselves and then hopefully with others. Because that's, I know, whenever we feel the growth and feel it long enough that it really settles in to that space of gratitude and gratefulness, and then being willing to let go of our attachment to that win to then move on to the next area of growth.
I really like when you say that, Michael. It's an investment in ourselves. It is a daily investment in ourselves. And it is something that I am learning to do. I reflected a lot about this today. And take the time. We need to teach our children not to do things with neglect, not to neglect the things that they are doing. Do things with care. Take the time to do things. Even a shower, take the time to take a shower. Take the time that is required to eat. Take the time of the things. And sometimes we need to take the time for ourselves, be it creating a morning routine where we will prepare ourselves for our day. There is something like that in this program as well, right? Creating a ritual at the end of the day where we reflect about our days. And sometimes we think that we don't have the time to do it. 3 to 5 minutes every day. Take the time, because as Michael said, it is an investment that we do in ourselves, and it will pay off.
Thank you for another great conversation here. We do hope that you get the opportunity to experience this. And once again, right here, if you got a takeaway from it, if there's an insight. If there's something broken, please tell us that too, and we'll go about fixing it. This is the first time that this is really getting out for people to plan outside of the small circle of people that I know. So I've enjoyed what this has actually brought out in me. And I'm hoping that you actually have the same experience. And until we speak again, my name is Michael Danklefs of Elevate Your Best.
And I'm Bruno Martins. And thank you, Michael, for this conversation. And see you all next week.